Welcome to Help Stop the Genocide in American Ghettos podcast. I'm your host, Emmanuel Barbie. I'm the founder, president, and CEO of GRCAM, the Grassroots Community Activist Movement. On this platform, we discuss authentic urban news across the diaspora and what's happening on the African continent. If you're joining us for the first time, please hit the like button, share, and subscribe to my YouTube page. We encourage our listeners worldwide to engage with us by leaving a public comment about the topic in the comment section below this audio podcast. Help make our audio podcast and our video podcast go viral by sharing my YouTube page with all of your friends, whether it's on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, and or X, or any other social media sites that you're on. This will help get the ball rolling. Disclaimer: this content is for educational and informational purposes only. It is based on public available reports and verified media sources. We fully comply with YouTube's community guidelines. We do not promote violence, hate, or misinformation in any form. This podcast is available in two forms, audio and also as a written text, in order for us to reach our audience. Help Stop the Genocide in American Ghettos podcast is our Black media component. I would like to encourage my listeners to subscribe to my Medium page, where you can follow along during the presentation. I provide my Medium transcript in the comment section below this audio podcast. I use this platform to share with people who are on my social media pages. So I encourage Black artists, African artists, such as authors, poets, musicians, and Black entrepreneurs and African entrepreneurs to make arrangements with me to come on this platform so that you can promote your books, your business, your music. And if you have a small ministry, then you're welcome to come here and share a 30-minute sermon with my listeners from the global community. After the show, I offer my guest speakers an incentive by teaching them how to create their own podcast, YouTube channel, and Wix website so that they can launch their own online business or online ministry to the global community. I want to do more than just news and social commentary, but at the moment, this is where I'm at. It doesn't matter how bad I would like to get my Christian business up and running in Chicago. Without financial support from the Black grassroots and the global African family, then I am unable to do my God-given assignment, which is to recruit brave and smart, like-minded Black Americans who identify as DAS/FM, which stands for Descendants of American Slaves/Freedmen, as well as like-minded African immigrants from 10 African nations. Because together we're going to build the best Black business within the United States of America, and that is the Grassroots Community Activist Institute of Chicago. We want to build that for credibility before we expand the business to 10 African nations. I'm reaching out to the global African family. If you're serious about me bringing my Christian business to the African continent, then please help me get my ebook on the bestsellers list, so that way the Black world would know who we are and can take our cause serious. Those African nations that I mentioned are as follows: South Africa, Kenya, Ethiopia, Tanzania, Uganda, Angola, Liberia, Ivory Coast, Ghana, and Nigeria. I understand that you all came over here to live out your American dream, but I need your help because for 34 years, Black Chicagoans has rejected and overlooked my vision and plan to help improve the Black community or the Black neighborhoods. The reason why you were able to come to the United States of America and achieve your American dream is because of my ancestors who fought and died during the civil rights era to help get African immigrants, Afro-Caribbeans, and other non-white immigrant groups to come to this country. Truth be told, the white supremacist financial elites only wanted European immigrants here, and that's white European immigrants. All I'm asking is that you would purchase my ebook and read my story for yourself. If you agree with my vision and plan to help improve Black America, you would, specifically Black Chicago, then you will automatically become a GERCAM member. We will continue to reach out to like-minded Black Americans beyond Chicago. After all, this business is for them. This business is for Black millennials and Generation Z. Again, I'm just one Black man with a vision and a plan. It takes a team to make a dream work. I'm calling on Black content creators and African content creators who have a large following. Please allow me to come on your platform to speak with your audience about my revised book and my film project. This is not my burden alone. This is a shared burden. And GERCAM members are the ones that will help fix our problems within Black society. We're going to take the lead. But we got to first build GERCAM Chicago. I don't want the brand and the vision to die in America. I'm pushing this vision to the global African family. This is my contribution to Africa's rising. So I'm looking for certain people. I don't want just anybody. I want certain people that got the skills that I'm looking for to be on my advisory board or my resource team. I'm looking for film directors, producers, actors, stage managers, professional fundraisers, technical directors, and marketers. Okay, that's what I want for this film project for right now. And also I want them to be on my I'm gonna just say resource team. And I can even also call it to be my film management team. Okay. Now, if you're serious about doing business with me, please send me your email address so that way you can speak with me directly. We can do a voice call or a video call. Also, I provide my email in my revised book. As a matter of fact, my revised book is the foundation of my Christian business, GERCAM Chicago. So if anybody disagree with the vision and the plan, it's not up for debate. You just can't be a part of this business. That's why it's going to be membership based. Now, once we get the film project fully funded and made, and the proceeds from the film starts pouring in, then I will be in a better position financially to purchase property in Chicago, Illinois, buy office equipment, hire qualified Black middle-class professionals, and qualified African immigrants. Now, these are the people that I'm looking for to be on my advisory board or my resource team. They are as follows. I want them to have an associate's degree or above, because I just want people that's going to be on the professional tip. I'm just being keeping it real, and this is on business. I'm looking for Black attorneys, African attorneys, investors, Black entrepreneurs, African entrepreneurs, social entrepreneurs, and philanthropists. I want to make sure that our Christian business will be effective and successful for years to come. And also, before I cut and run to Africa, we want to get it popping here in the city of Chicago, again, for credibility. Because when I come to Africa, I want to come to Africa to bring economic tangibles in the form of job creation. I want to make sure that I can hire GRCAM members, because those are the people I'm going to look out first and foremost. GRCAM members. That's why I'm saying I'm trying to recruit people to become GRCAM members. Read my book first and see if this is something that you would be interested in. If you disagree, please delete me off your friends list and go on about your business. It's just that simple. Doggone it, I don't want to be doing this another 34 years, and that's real. I am called by my Lord and Savior Jesus / Yahshua to rebuild Black Chicago, similar to that of Nehemiah, who was called by God to rebuild the walls of Jerusalem. Nehemiah used qualified engineers, architects, and inventors to rebuild a new city. In contrast, I'm seeking Black middle-class professionals and African immigrants, as mentioned before, from 10 African nations with associate's degrees or above. My film project is my last attempt to try to do something positive for my racial group, Black Americans, before I cut and run to Africa. Upcoming events. On Saturday, March 21st, we have guest speaker Kaisha Taylor from Waukegan, Illinois. That's a sister that I network with on LinkedIn. So I'm grateful that, she wants to come on the show and present her information, with us. So we're looking forward to having her. I'm going to say, those of you that want to come on my show, hey, if anybody wants to challenge me or debate me and all that kind of stuff, all I'm asking you to do is please send me your email address. First of all, I want you to be on my friends list, because that way we can weed out trolls. You have to be on my friends list, right? And so I'm calling upon everyone that's on my friends list from, I'm going to say, my Facebook page, my Instagram page, my TikTok page, my LinkedIn page, and my X page. Anyone that's on there. And if you have a small business, if you're a musician, if you're an artist, such as, as I mentioned before, like an author, poet, and what have you, just make arrangements with me to come on this platform, so that way you can present your business and whatever you're doing, long as it's legal. You're welcome to come on here and promote it to my listeners from the global community. I'm also encouraging people that's in my social groups on Facebook, on LinkedIn. Come on, come over here. Now, some of the issues that I have is sometimes people tell me that they know how to use Zoom, but then when I try to get them to come on the show, it's like more than 10 minutes and they're still not able to log on. So that's not cool. So what I do, I shut that down. I cancel the show. So those of you, if you're serious about coming on my platform, all you need to do is make arrangements with me to come on this platform. And if you do not know how to use StreamYard or Zoom, I'm willing to teach you. It's not going to take long. But all I'm asking is you would exchange emails with me so that way we can stay connected. You know, I'm on Facebook by the grace of God because I mean it's unfortunate. This is my fourth Facebook page. Hackers are forever bugging, always shutting me down. I'm not bugging nobody. Know what I'm saying? It's a straight up turn off, but this is where I'm at right now. And this is why, I'm trying to, interact with people, trying to get people to come on this platform. If you camera shy, then just use an icon. So that way people could just hear your voice. So it'll be like more of a voice call. And, you will have a picture of yourself or an icon, to represent who you are. But bottom line, I'm trying to move this thing from behind the computer. My Christian business, but I want to do that film so that way I can be in a better position financially to hire people and do all this stuff that I'm talking about and everything that I've written. That's all. You know what I'm saying? So, let's see. Just bear with me. I'm looking over my notes. And again, I'm gonna, give people, like I say, if you want to come on here, these are the dates that I'm available. I'm gonna say Thursday, March 5th, Saturday, March 7th, Tuesday, March 10th, Wednesday, March 11th, Friday, March 13th, Saturday, March 14th, Sunday, March 15th through Tuesday, March 17th, Thursday, March 19th through Saturday, March 21st, Sunday, March 22nd, and Monday, March 23rd, Wednesday, March 25th through Friday, March 27th, Sunday, March 29th through Tuesday, March 31st, all at the times between 2 p.m. to 9 p.m. American Central Time. Now, if you live in a foreign country, that's your responsibility to figure out, the time zones and all that stuff. But you're more than welcome to make arrangements with me to come on this platform. Again, if anybody wants to debate me and all that stuff, I will be available on March 28th, and those times I'm going to say 2 p.m. American Central Time, 3 p.m. Canadian Time, 8 p.m. West African Time, 9 p.m. South African Time, 10 p.m. East African Time, and 8 p.m. UK Time. But again, just exchange emails with me so that way, we can stay connected. And also so that way I can email you everything that I do online because I put everything out on the table. There's no no scamming over here, no con games at all. And I do not associate with any con artists. And some people say, Emmanuel, seems like, you're judging people. I'm not judging people at all. I have standards. If somebody is off code and stuff, if you're a hardened criminal, if you're a degenerate, if you're a pedophile, if you're an urban terrorist, I don't want you to be part of my business at all. And I'm screening people. That's upfront and that's real. I know a lot of people don't like me and stuff like that, but hey, you don't have to like me, but you will respect me. And I'm running my business the way I run my home, drama free. And yes, I'm bringing this business to the low income Black community or low income Black neighborhood, starting here in the city of Chicago, on the west side of Chicago. We're going to cover Austin, Garfield Park, and North Lawndale, and then expand to the south side of Chicago, wherever that may be. It's going to be somewhere in the Black community. Make our presence known. That the community know that we're here to serve, and we want more. We want to raise the bar in Black America. Now, I wish we got to get it popping here in the city of Chicago. Now, as I written in my book, I was saying I hope that this business would expand to at least 25 other cities. But doggone it, it's been 34 years and it still ain't up and running here in Chicago. And that's unacceptable. And that's how come I'm reaching out to African immigrants to help speed up the process. I don't want to die in America. I want to get the business popping here in Chicago so I can turn it over to my management team and then expand it to the South, to South Africa. Replicate the business there. But again, I want to make sure before I cut and run that I'm able to sustain myself in Africa. And also I want to make sure that Sister Renee will be well taken care of, because she's the only person that has been working with me for the past 14 years behind the scenes. I appreciate that. I wish I had more people like her to be working with me, but hey, it is what it is. It's a doggone shame. I don't like what I'm going through, and you're doggone right, I'm gonna complain. This ain't nothing um, to be happy about. Being stagnant, shoot. But hey, it is what it is, and unfortunately, Black America, the dope man has more support from the Black community than me, and that's a doggone shame. And I want to create legitimate jobs, and I will create legitimate jobs where you don't have to run from the cops. As a matter of fact, in my business, it's just something positive. We want to help strengthen the Black family. That's the whole purpose of me going there. I want the Kyle Chicago to become an economic base, but we're going to raise that bar. And again, I do not operate like the next Black man. Before I get into my presentation, I do need to say this. I was going to talk about, what happened to his name Nipsey Hussle, his brother, try to carry on his legacy out there in California. He tried to open up a business, I believe in Compton, and I'll show you all that. I have like the link so you can listen to it and all that stuff when I finish my presentation. But unfortunately, there was a shooting. It's always people like that they make things bad. We're trying to. Oh, it's just such a turnoff. It is. It is. But like I say, I'm still doing the best that I can to get this business fully funded, but I have to do a film first. It is what it is. Because I'm not making no money from my book, truth be told. And that's how come I can't hire anybody. And it's a shame that we have to encourage Black Americans to support Black businesses. That should be a given. And my bank, I bank with Chase, they trying to get me to, or encourage me to take out a business loan. I'm not setting myself up for to get in debt. I'm not doing that until this film project is fully funded and made. Our goal is to raise $250,000. But and I'm using crowdfunding sources such as GoFundMe, Buy Me a Coffee, as well as PayPal Giving Fund. So people will know where the money is going, but I prefer that people would use either, if they're a U.S. citizen, that they would use the PayPal Giving Fund, or, buy me a coffee. But bottom line, also, I'm using GoFundMe. So that way people have three options so that they can become a member of GCAM and, contribute to this film project. Those that join my film project team will go down in history with me and Sister Renee. I'm just saying. Okay, so I mentioned all the dates and stuff. And also I'm going to show you how to navigate on my Medium transcript, so that way you can look at the this presentation again, and you can see it word for word, and I'll show you where you can actually zoom in on this information I'm sharing. Please select which day that works best for you so that we can make it happen to get you on this platform, so you can promote your, like I say, your books, your business, your music, or if you have a small ministry, share a 30-minute sermon. Or if you want to learn how to use both StreamYard and Zoom, those same dates are available. Just let me know. That's all I'm saying. I want to connect with everybody. Everybody that's on my friends list, everybody that's in my social group. I want us to connect. I want to encourage you all to put me on blast. Share my information. The book is available for $9. The ebook is available for $9.99. And I'm going to have all that information in the comment section below this audio podcast. Okay, so the theme for our upcoming, virtual interactive conference is going to be Saturday, March 28th. And the theme is the fall of Black America. America collapse is coming for Black people. That's very important that you all would first look at that. I'm going to say, watch that video. And I'll show you how you can find it too. That's going to be on my Medium transcript. And I already mentioned the times already. So, title of this presentation: U.S. War with Iran, 2026. So you all gonna have to bear with me. Some of these names and stuff, they're foreign names and things like that. So I might not be pronouncing it correctly, but just bear with me. Bottom line, I'm doing the best that I can, and I'm doing this without shame because I am a journalist, and I'm grateful to have this this platform. I want to educate people, especially my listeners. Again, we're not going to be sitting in my business. We ain't going to be sitting around complaining about the white man and the government. We're going to solve our issues at the grassroots level, bottom line. And that's what I'm about. That's all I'm trying to do. And we want to make sure we separate ourselves from these off-cold Negroes. That's the hidden enemy within. Those are the people, like I just mentioned earlier about Nipsey Hussle. His brother tried to open up, a business again, in his brother's name. And then there was a shooting. I believe they say one person died. That's the guy that was instigating everything. It's just horrible. But then there was more other people were shot, because it was a shootout. Just horrible. That's why in my business, I'm going to have armed security. In my business, we're going to have drones. We're going to have surveillance cameras, the whole 9 yards. And my business is private. Not only will it be membership based, it will be private too. Because we can't just let anybody in. That's why we're going to be vetting everybody that come through our doors. Again, I'm only responsible for GRCAM members. Those that's not part of us, we'll pray for them, show them tough love, and keep it moving. And I want to make sure none of my members have to go through this type of foolishness. Just because I want to do something positive in the Black community. Trying to create a job. To put money in, I would say, our Black youth pockets in the form of stipends, to be in our Black empowerment films. So that way our Black youth can get off the streets and stay out of gangs and put money in their pockets. So that way they can provide for their families. That's all I'm trying to do. Why so much pushback? And we coming against this slave mentality big time, without shame. We declaring war on that mess. So that way the next generation don't have to be going through this type of foolishness. And so other brothers and sisters don't have to go through what I'm going through. 34 years trying to get a business up and running and being taken as a joke. Ain't nothing changed on my end. Ain't nothing at all. I'm standing on business. I'm trying to make it happen. It ain't my fault I can't find people to work with me in my city. It is what it is. This is why I'm reaching out to those beyond Chicago. And that's why I want to do this film, to let the whole Black world know my story. All right. On Saturday, February 28th, the U.S. and Israel launched us into another war, possibly World War III. Lord have mercy. By assassinating the Iranian Supreme Leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. My mind immediately went to the senseless violence that's about to unravel throughout the world, the lives that are about to be lost over lies, hidden agendas, and a complete lack of concern for the lives of Iranian citizens and young Americans who are going to be sent out to fight this war. According to an article from Time magazine entitled, quote, "How Americans Feel About Trump's War with Iran," unquote. Most Americans do not support the U.S. Israeli attacks on Iran. While there is a divide among party lines, according to a Reuters poll, quote, only 27% of Americans approve of the U.S. Israeli bombing of Iran, while 43% disapprove, unquote. And if you want to know more about those sources, you would just go to my Medium transcript, which will be located in the comment section below this audio podcast. You click on the link, then you will scroll down to show and prove, and that's where I cite all my sources. I'm going to share that with everyone once I'm finished with this presentation. So today we're talking about what's happening in the Middle East. There are air strikes going on. The U.S. has dropped bombs on Iran. There's a lot of conspiracy theories popping up all over the place as it pertains to why all of this is happening now. The U.S. has Israel putting in work by bombing target sites in Iran. From my understanding, Israel claimed that Iran has developed nuclear weapons capability. We all heard that whole weapons of mass destruction during the Iraq invasion, which was the excuse for war. The whole false um, imminent threat um, premise became Iran's may do a prenup strike against America. The Trump administration justified by doing a strike first, even without solid evidence. Some people are saying this is a distraction to avoid the Epstein files. Others are saying that this could be some military industrial complex motives. There's a lot of money in these defense contracts. These war hawks push for full scale war because this boosts military spendings, weapon sales, and geopolitical reach. In other words, these politicians can turn conflicts into profit. That's why I'm saying these white supremacist financial elites, that's all they care about. But that's how come their system is slowly unraveling and it's falling apart. Because the world is getting sick and tired of these people just bugging like this. It's just ridiculous. Another conspiracy theory people are saying is that the white supremacist financial elites are trying to create a new world order. They want to destabilize the Middle East deliberately by creating chaos to justify permanent U.S. military presence to dismantle the global competitors such as China and Russia. All those oil reserves over there. They want to topple the leadership and install a more compliant government, which is, they say puppets, so that they can have full access on those oil reserves in Iran. Israel and the United States launched strikes on Iran, which took out its supreme leader and other top government officials. There was a clapback airstrike from Iran at Dubai airport. They also target some of those high-end hotels. Some of the civilian tourist infrastructure took direct hits as well. Iran shot ballistic missiles at the Ali Salem Air Base, which hosts the U.S. Air Force in Kuwait. There has been some drones that hit in Jordan, Saudi Arabia. In Pakistan, there was an anti-U.S. protest at the U.S. Embassy. Iran launched rockets in Tel Aviv. Here's the thing, when the U.S. does all these preempt strikes, those people just don't sit around. They launch proxy wars all over the place. These people are going to do some clapback. That's going to be retaliation. There has been a lot of conspiracy theories about the great Israel project to take over the Middle East. Far less has been spoken about the greater United States of America project to basically take over the world. They wish. Not in this day and age. Some people are very short sighted about these things. So, what they're going to do is sit up here and tell you things about Ayatollah Ayatollah. I can't pronounce the person's name, but I'm gonna spell it. Kmeni. That is as far as it goes. For decades, the Iranian Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei regime governed through violence and intimidation. It goes far beyond that, and that's what you're seeing now. While The neocons who everybody said were dead and gone, and now you realize the neocons who convinced America to invade Iraq, they are now taking America into Iran. The exact same people who got us in Iraq 25 years ago. They learned nothing from the Iraq war. They tell the American people Iran is building a nuclear weapon. They got to stop them. But they're not waiting for a vote from Congress at this time. And they're not going to bother going through the UN. So the same cast of characters, Benjamin Yahoo and John Bolton. I want to give some historical context. Please check out the TikTok video on my Medium transcript located in the comment section below this audio podcast. Click on the link, then scroll down to show and prove. You will see 11 Patriot missiles, each costing between $2 to $4 million each, up in smokes in just 48 seconds. America voted for this corrupt used car salesman that they call a president. He promised all kinds of things, budgets under control, no more access spending, and of course, the big lie of all, no new wars. The president cannot unilaterally declare war. The Constitution clearly says war power sits with Congress, just like the powers of the budget sits with Congress. For decades, Israel has openly pursued an agenda to topple Iraq, Syria, and Iran. They orchestrated all these wars in the Middle East to eliminate their rivals and gain total hegemony over the Middle East. Iran has been 6 months away from a nuclear weapon since 1985. The United States government has been completely captured by the nation of Israel and their interests. The nation of Israel controls American foreign policies. It controls its presidents. It controls most of its Congress and senators. This has been a project they've been embarked on now for decades, and now it has come to fruition. They have completely captured the nation of the United States government, and now we are the client states to Israel bidding. America will fight, die, and go into debt for them. And that's your purpose. After they invade Venezuela, I believe they would target Iran and later Cuba. A lot of the senior leadership in Iran has been unalived. The lesson from this is that if you want to keep America off your back, then you have to get nuclear weapons just like North Korea did. Ain't nobody trying to invade them. The baby boomer generation will make life harder for the younger generation. For example, experts are saying the way things are going in America, there will be no social security because America will be bankrupt. Right now, America is 50 trillion in debt. Trump campaign ran on America first, but this isn't it. The U.S. has had its eye on Iran for decades. The majority of people in the military, in America's military, are black. The military recruiters are set up in black neighborhoods. The military has always disproportionately recruited black people. So that's why this topic is important, because it's going to be our people that's going to be on the front lines. It is what it is. I told you all decades ago that the world's largest missionary armies is not Blackwater. The United States Army is the world's largest mercenary army, and it is owned by a number of different interests. In order to keep the money coming in and keep dominance right where it is, the boots must remain on um, their enemy's neck, so to speak. The American military belongs to a number of individuals, but remember, there are unintended consequences, and there will be other people who will find out what those unintended consequences are soon enough because they don't take the situation serious. In some cases, willfully blind leadership. The Middle East witnessed what happened in Iraq. They have all sat back with their hands folded as the United States and Israel have repeated this behavior again in Iran. Well, that's because divide and conquer is very real. For example, in Iraq, you had a country that was divided among Sunni Muslim and Shiite Muslims, and America used that to their advantage. Iran has enemies in Israel, Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates, and everywhere Sunni Muslims are because Iran is Shiite. Iran is not Arab, they are Persians. Ethnic differences. The real issue is that they are Shiite, and there's been an ongoing beef between Iran and Saudi Arabia. No one has come to Iran's defense. The Arab world is silent because they view Iran as their rival. The problem is they're outrageously short sighted. Saudi Arabia, they have a wealth of oil. Israel has knocked off Iraq, Lebanon, Libya, Egypt, Syria, um, Oman, guess that's how you pronounce it, and now Iran. All of those close neighbors, they're we're going to knock all of them off. And now in the last 10 to 15 years, this campaign to knock off the neighboring governments has accelerated. And yes, this brings us to the greater Israel project, which is essentially dominance of the entire Middle East. This includes Iraq, Iran, Syria, Jordan, Saudi Arabia, and so-called United Arab Emirates. They are playing an outrageous, dangerous game. The Middle East has set back because tribalism is a weapon that has been used by these other groups. That's why we started the delineation movement as Black Americans, because the individuals who still subscribe to tribalism are a cancer, and it is better that we remove them from us, although altogether, than to continue pretending that they are somehow confused comrades. Iran should have scrambled for a nuclear weapon decades ago. If they had, this wouldn't have happened today. And if Iran had done what North Korea did and scrambled for a nuclear weapons decades ago, they would not be where they are today. Furthermore, if Iran had better relations with its Arab neighbors and understood that if you have no friends in the region, they are all hostile against you, then your days are numbered. You cannot afford to have everybody against you. You cannot afford to be in a place like the Middle East and you don't have any allies ready to ride with you. And instead of you spending decades mending those fences and getting some allies on your side, Iran decided to do it alone. Now, China and Russia might jump in. And if they do, then this will be the beginning of World War III. And I talk about that a little bit in my book. So, uh, yeah, it's horrible. I predict Iran will be like Afghanistan, depending on whether or not China or Russia can get anything to Iran, because the United States is going to do their best to make sure they can't smuggle in any weapons to them. Arming Iran would be in their best interest. Iran is going to close the the Strait of Hormuz. I remember the war with Iraq under President George W. Bush and Dick Cheney administration. They said that the war will be quick and painless. There will be greeted as liberators. Why? Those Iraqis, they wanted us there. Remember all the slogans we were given after after mission accomplished. Remember, they told us that America would be greeted as liberators. They told us that it would be quick and painless. Um, that they couldn't wait to embrace liberal um, democracy and a democratic government. And then, do you remember what happened next? America was able to go in, topple Saddam Hussein and his government, and topple his statue as well. Well, that happened rare, rarely, that happened very quickly. And the hard part was the aftermath. America spent years fighting an insurgent. America sent in its best equipment and artillery. They said that it was going to be a cakewalk, and all of a sudden, you had rebels all over the place. Their goal was to catch American troops. They turned Iraq into a quagmire. You can't have regime change from the air. You can't occupy a nation. You know, those cruise missiles cost $2 to $4 million a piece. They did not learn anything from their defeat in Iraq, the American invasion and war with Iraq. If the Democrats had simply given us our anti black hate crime bill and our reparations, Donald Trump would not be in the White House today. He would have been in prison. Family, please listen to me. Those that's here in the United States, start stocking up on groceries. I recommend at least 3 months supply, just in case things go left here in America. I mean, I'm serious. Things is getting really uncertain right now. And like I said, many times before, 34 years, Black Americans, especially Black Chicagoans, we had a chance to work with me to get this business up and running. And I predict it could have been at least if Black Americans or Black Chicagoans would have done that, we could have at least had it up and running in 5 cities here in America, and then at least um, 3 African nations. That's all I'm saying. But now we got to go through this. Because when COVID hit, I mean, I was like, my goodness. Black Americans wasn't prepared. And a lot of us did, a lot of us ended up becoming victims of COVID-19. These Democrats have allowed a whole bunch of illegal immigrants over here without vetting them. We don't know who they're allied with. Here's a possibility that some of them could be sleeper cells. They let so many illegal immigrants over here due to their open border policies. Have y'all heard about what happened in Austin, Texas. According to BNO News, an African immigrant from Senegal was wearing clothes with an Iranian flag design and the words, quote, property of Allah, unquote. He unalived two people and wounded 14 early Sunday morning at a Texas bar. To read the full article, just go to my Medium transcript located in the comment section below this audio podcast. Click on the link, then scroll down to show and prove. Many people within the intelligence community are saying he could have been a sleeper cell. What does this mean for immigration right now? Because right now, they're already blaming the Obama administration who granted him citizenship. He's been here since 2000. So naturalization is going to be the new battleground. They're going to start doing these extensive background checks. Should have been doing that all along. And strong vetting. They're going to crack down now. They're going to have tougher eligibility rules, and some of these immigrant communities are going to feel the heat. Yep. The United States has hit hundreds of targets in Iran, including the Revolutionary Guard facilities, Iranian air defense, plus 9 naval ships. Iran former Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei is unalive. The United States and Israel struck Iran. Missiles explosions. It confirms that Iran Supreme Leader has been unalive. We need to talk about Iran. And before you say Emmanuel, that's the Middle East. That doesn't have nothing to do with us. That's not our problem. Let me explain. Every time the so-called superpowers start dropping missiles, guess who have to flip the bill? American taxpayers. You see, Iran is not just any country. Iran sits at the heart of global energy flows. Nearly 20% of the world's oil supply moves through one narrow chokehold, the Strait of Hormuz. If that corridor closes, if ships is disrupted, if war spreads across the Gulf, we're talking about price increase, fuel shortages, currency collapse, food price struggles, food price struggle surges, debt press debt pressure tightenings, and for imported dependent African economies. We're going to explain why the Trump administration did this. For some are celebrating the strike and others are condemning it. What happens to African fuel prices at this if this escalates? How exposed are African economies struggling? What protection, if any, does BRICS offer its members in moments like this? How is the African Union responding? We are witnessing another moment where the great powers clash and Africa absorbs the shockwaves. When missiles drop down on the Gulf, sovereignty is tested at the fuel pump. On this platform, we discuss Black issues and African issues in global affairs in real time. The United States military began major combat operations in Iran. For 47 years, the Iranian regime has chanted death to America and waged an unending campaign of bloodshed and mass murder targeting the United States, according to President Trump. On February 28th, the United States, in coordination with Israel, launched target military strikes inside Iran that ultimately unalived the Islamic Republic supreme leader. President Donald Trump called it a preemptive strike, arguing that Iran was dangerously close to building a nuclear um, bomb. Now, here's what's important: fear that Iran is developing nuclear weapons is not new. The tension has been building up for 40 years. Okay. Iran insists that its nuclear program is for peaceful energy purposes. But Western intelligence agencies, particularly in the US and Israel, have long suspected that beneath civilian enrichment lies weapon capabilities. The concern around uranium enrichment to fuel nuclear energy, Iran must be enriched to about 3 to 5%. But to build a nuclear bomb, enrichment levels must reach roughly 90%. Over the years, inspectors report that Iran enriched uranium far beyond civilian energy requirements. In 2015, under the Obama administration, the United States and world powers negotiated the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, commonly known as the Iran Nuclear Deal. Today, after 2 years of negotiation, the United States, together with international partners, have achieved something that decades of animosity has not: a comprehensive long term deal with Iran that will prevent it from obtaining a nuclear weapon. The deal demonstrates that American diplomacy can bring about real and meaningful change. Under that agreement, Iran agreed to cap uranium enrichment, reduce centrifuges, allow international inspections, and ship out enriched uranium stockpiles. In exchange, economic sanctions was lifted. Iran regained access to global markets. Supporters said that it prevented war, but critics, especially in Israel and US conservatives, said that it merely delayed Iran's plan to, to a bomb. In 2018, during the first term, President Trump withdrew the United States from the deal, calling it the worst deal ever negotiated. Sanctions were reinstated. Iran responded by gradually increasing uranium enrichment again. So, fast forward to June 2025, Trump authorized airstrikes on Iranian nuclear enrichment facilities, claiming Iran's key nuclear enrichment facilities have been completely and totally ob- obliterated. However, satellite imagery later showed heavy damage, but intelligence analysts suggest that Iran retained nuclear capability elsewhere, which brings us to this weekend. And what's especially shocking is last week, Iranian officials publicly state that negotiations with the U.S. were progressing well. There were signals con, 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 uh, consciously optimistic that a new framework might be emerging, but President Trump expressed frustration with the pace and substance of the talks. He said, I'm not happy with the fact that, oh, quote, I'm not happy with the fact that they're not willing to give us what we have to have, unquote. And 14 hours later, U.S. U.S. airstrikes began. Sunday, March 1st, Iranian state media confirmed that Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei had died as a result of injuries sustained in the strike. That confirmation transformed this from a military operation into a regime shaken moment. Removing a sitting supreme leader is not tactical, is strategic. It creates a power vacuum inside a theoretic state. It risks internal instability. It risks retaliatory escalation. It risks regional war, and it sends a signal to other adversaries, including Russia and China, about how far the U.S. is willing to go. This is no longer about centrifuges. This is about deterrence. It's about power and the balance of global order. My reaction to this, my reaction of this attack is hope for the Iranian people, for freedom and autonomy in Iran. There's been mixed reaction to Supreme Leader um, death around the world. And to understand why, we have to look at who this man was and how he ruled Iran. Um, Akami, sorry, Ali Akami was not just a political figure. He was the center authority in Iran for nearly 4 decades. From 1989 until his death, he was the supreme leader of the Islamic Republic of Iran, the highest office in the country, political and religious hierarchy. And unlike presidents in most countries, he was not a ceremonial head of state. Under Iran's constitutional systems, the supreme leader holds ultimate authority over the government, the armed forces, foreign policies, the judicial and intelligence services. He participated in the 1979 revolution that overthrew the Shah and later served as Iran's president before being selected as supreme leader after I don't know how to pronounce this person's name, but it's Khamenei death in 1989. His leadership style was defined by centralization of power. He exercised near absolute control, shaping domestic politics, appointing key officials, and setting the direction of Iran's foreign policy. He also maintained close ties with the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, a powerful military and political institution that helped enforce his will both at home and regionally. He ruled His rule was marked by a hardline stance towards the United States and Israel, and a foreign policy that elevated Iran's influence across the Middle East through alliance with terrorist groups like Hezbollah, Hamas, and other partners, often referred to as the axis of resistance. Domestically, they face mass protests, including the 2009 Green Movement, and large scale protests in 2022 were met with harsh crackdowns, causing widespread dissatisfaction among younger Iranians who face economic hardships and restrictions on personal freedoms. His position on the nuclear program was complex. While Iran maintained that its nuclear activities were for civilian purposes and common issues, a religious ruling against the production and use of nuclear weapons. Western governments remain skeptical, viewing Iran's nuclear ambition as a strategic tool for deterrent and influence. So when he died, reaction diverged sharply. Some see him as a defiant leader who stood up to the global powers and maintained Iran's sovereignty in the face of relentless extreme pressure. But others view his rule as authentic and destabilizing, arguing that his hardline policies isolated Iran's economy, intensified regional tensions, and suppressed the voices of millions of Iranians demanding change. So, understanding this duality, his powerful ruler and polarizing figure, helps explain why Camus' death has produced both celebration and condemnation on the world stage. What's going to happen with oil and gas prices? Oil is traded on a global market. Any disruption to the supply can spike oil prices worldwide. The bigger concern may be access to the Strait of Hormuz, a key area used to carry roughly 20% of the world's oil. How these oil markets react will depend on how long this conflict lasts. If crude oil jumps significantly, drivers in the US could see prices go up within, within a matter of days. When major powers clash, markets react immediately. Nearly 20% of the world's oil supply moves through the Strait of Hormuz. That narrow corridor connects Gulf producers to the global economy. If shipping is disrupted even temporarily, oil prices spikes, insurance premium spikes, freight costs spikes, and that ripple effects moves faster than um, diplomacy. Many African countries are net exporters of refined um, petroleum products, even oil. Producing countries like Nigeria often import refined fuel due to limited domestic refining capacity. So when global crude prices rise, fuel subsidies become more expensive. Government budgets tightens. Currencies come under pressure. Inflation accelerates. Transports costs increase. Food prices rises. Electricity costs increases. And for centuries that are already navigating debt, distress, and inflation, this becomes a multiplier effect. In 1973, during the Arab oil embargo, oil prices tripled and triggered a global economic shock. In 2022, after the Russian Ukraine war disrupted energy and grain markets, many African economies face fuel shortage, rising food prices, currency depreciation, IMF negotiations. Every geopolitical crisis ties to energy markets create downstream consequences for economies that do not control their own energy supply chain. Africa is highly exposed not because it is weak, but because it is structurally integrated into global commodities systems without having its own structural control. This is why I'm reaching out to the global African family to work with me and get in my revised book on that bestsellers list and encourage African immigrants from from your African nation to join my film management team so that together we can create a powerful Black empowerment film which will help put me in a better position financially so that I can hire Black people, African people, and others. Africa export raw materials, import refined energy, imports machinery, im- imports fertilizers, imports fish, finished goods. So when costs rise globally, we import inflation, and when oil prices rise globally, we import fiscal stress. That's the pattern. And that's why this conflicts through geographically distant is economically close. Let's be real. Africa nations are not unified because African people are still on this tribalism. For example, in Ethiopia alone, they have over 100 different tribes. This is why the white supremacist financial elites continue to act like Africa belongs to them. They are guests on our continent because God gave Africa to black native Africans. He gave Europe to the white man, Asia to the yellow man. All you have to do is just read, um, even if you don't believe it, just read it. Ezekiel chapter 34, verses 11 through 16. And I recommend the King James Version because that's where I'm getting this all from. So read it from there. Reaction across the continent have been divided. Some governments have expressed deep concern over regional instability and economic shock and potential disruption to food and energy supplies. Most have remained silent, likely to protect diplomatic and security ties with the U.S. and Israel, and some have openly condemned the attacks. Experience has demonstrated that there can be no military solution to fundamentally political problems that can and should be resolved diplomatically. Military confrontation has never delivered sustainable peace. The African Union has issued a formal statement. The chairperson of the African Union Commission, Yua, said that he is deeply concerned by the reported military strike carried out by the United States in coordination with Israel forces against targets inside the Islamic Republic of Iran, and escalation that marks a serious intensification of hostility in the Middle East. The chairperson calls for restraint, urged de-escalation, and sustained dialogue, stressing that all parties must act fully in accordance with international law and the United Nations Charter to safeguard international peace and security. The chairperson warns that further escalation threatens to worsen global instability with serious implications for energy markets, food security, and economic resilience, particularly in Africa, where conflict and economic pressures remain acute. Africa, the only continent without a permanent seat on the Security Council. So, even though Africa economics tend to be significantly impacted by energy shocks and inflation triggered by this war, Africa has no structural decision making power at the highest global security table. No veto, no permanent voice, no guaranteed influence. Africa absorbed the consequences but does not shape the decisions. That's not cool at all, Africa. Iran is a member of BRICS, and several African countries are now members of BRICS, including South Africa and Egypt. So naturally, some are asking if BRICS represents a new multipolar world, if it is an alternative to Western dominance, if it is about corruption, if it's about cooperation and sovereignty, then what happens when one of its members is directly struck? Does BRICS protect its own, or is it simply a coordination form but without enforcement power? BRICS is an economic and political bloc. What does it promote? Alternative development financing, trade in local currency, reduce reliance on the US dollar, greater representation for emerging economies. It creates the new development bank as an alternative to the IMF and World Bank. But BRICS is not a military alliance, a collective defense pact, a unified economic zone, or a sanctioned shield. There's no Article 5, no mutual defense guarantee, no automatic economic stabilization mechanism. So, what happens if the U.S. strikes one of BRICS members? It cannot freeze oil prices. It cannot guarantee currency stability. It cannot protect shipping lanes. It cannot compensate members for global energy spikes. And that's where Africa's strategy must become sober. Because if Africa joins BRICS, expecting insulation from global shocks, that insulation does not structurally exist. And it leaves us with the question, so what really are the options? Because a friend of BRICS, at least right now, to Trump, is an enemy to the West. So, what options really does Africa have? It is clear that multi polarity changes influence, but it does not eliminate exposure. So, global African family, we are going to have to build power, or we repositioning within someone else's power. True installation requires African refining capacity, owning and controlling our own petroleum reserves, African trade, energy trade, coordinate fiscal and monetary frameworks, reduce dependency on imported fuel. Now, BRICS provide democratic leverage, but economic immunity, that's something that must be built internally. While the AU response has been measured, calling for restraint and de escalation, the reality is that the AU does not control oil markets. It does not control global shipping. It does not control commodity pricing. Its influence is political, but the economic exposure remains natural and fragment. If great powers miscalculate, if oil markets destabilize, if inflation spreads, will Africa suffer economically every time superpower clashes? And that's the question. Or is this the moment that forces us to accelerate structure independently? My people, we cannot control Washington. We cannot control Tehran. We cannot control Moscow or Beijing, but we can control what we build. The real issue is not whether America struck Iran. The real issue is, why does a military decision thousands of miles away automatically destabilize Africa's fuel prices? Why is our transport system so dependent on import refined petroleum? Why do many of our countries lack strategic petroleum reserves? Why are we still exporting crude and importing refined fuel? That is not geopolitics, that is structure. Structure independence is not slogans, it is systems. It means continental refining capability, not just extractions. Coordinated African petroleum reserves. We need African energy trade among each other. Diversify energy sources, solar, hydro, gas, renewables, and fiscal coordination. When global shocks hit, it means building shock absorbers because global instability is not going away. Multipolarity does not eliminate tensions, it multiplies it. This crisis is revealing something uncomfortable. Africa's political voice may be rising, but our economic insul- insulation is lagging. We speak at global forums. We call for reform at the United Nations. But when oil prices spikes, we still react. Not because we lack intelligence, not because we lack resources, but because we have not yet aligned our economic uh, agriculture with our geopolitical ambition. The question is, when will Africa stop being the stocks absorber of global power struggles? When will we design systems that prevent external conflict from triggering internal crisis? I want to take you back to October 1973. The world was watching the Yen Kippur War unfold between Israel and a coalition led by Egypt and Syria. In response, Arab members of OPEC led a Saudi Arabia made a strategic decision. They weaponized oil, they cut production, they imposed an embargo, they target countries supporting Israel. And guess what? Overnight, oil stopped being just a commodity. It became geopolitical leverage. At the time, oil was trading at roughly $3 per barrel, but within months, it quadrupled to nearly $12. That spike may sound modest by today's standard, but in 1973, it was catastrophic. The global economy was built around cheap labor, cheap energy, factories, transport, agriculture, electric grids. Everything depended on stable oil prices. When prices spiked, inflation surged across the West. Recessions hit the US and Europe. Unemployment increased. Fuel rationale began and gas lines stretched from miles. High inflation combined with economic stagnation. The crisis did not stop at Western borders, it traveled south. In 1973, most African nations were less than 15 years into independence. Industrial base were weak. Export profiles were narrow. Foreign exchange reserves were thin. Many countries exported one or two commodities. For example, cocoa, coffee, copper, ground nuts. They exported almost everything else: fuel, machinery, fertilizer, manufacturing goods. So when oil prices quadrupled, transport costs increased, food prices increased, government budgets tightened. African countries did not have large reserves to cushion the shock, so they borrowed. Throughout the late 1970s, many African governments took on external loans and managed balloon import costs. At first, lenders were eager and pro dollar. Massive oil reserves earned by exporting countries were being recycled through global banks. African countries were seen as viable borrowers, but then something else happened. In the early 1980s, the US sharply raised interest rates to fight inflation, and all of a sudden, debt services costs soared. Export, export earnings stagnated, currency depreciated, and by the mid 1980s, Africa was in a full blown debt crisis. And that crisis opened the door to structural adjustment programs from the IMF and the World Bank, which meant currency devaluation, public spending cuts, private, private privatization mandates, reduced subsidies, social sectors con, con, contractions, healthcare weakens, educational budget shrinks, and infrastructure stalls. So it's important that we understand war in the Middle East in 1973 led to an oil embargo, which triggered a global energy shock, which then triggered African borrowing, which triggered debt crisis. And what did that do? Reshape Africa's economy policy for 2 decades. That is a chain reaction. Africa did not cause the war. Africa did not impose the embargo. Africa did not control all markets. But Africa absorbed the aftershock because Africa was structurally positioned at the receiving end of global volatility. The vulnerability wasn't moral, it was structure. Nowadays, another Middle East escalation, another choking point, the Strait of Hormuz, um, another surge in oil market anxiety. The question is not whether history repeats itself. The question is, have we built strategic petroleum reserves? Have we diversified energy sources? Have we strengthened intra-Africa trade through the African Continental Free Trade Area? We built fiscal buffers large enough to withstand global shocks, or are we still structurally exposed? Because if 1973 taught us anything, global crisis exposes our structural weakness. They don't create them, they reveal them. And every time superpowers fight, the countries without buffers end up paying the highest price. So, my people, where do we go from here? The conflict initiated by the US and Israel has sent shockwaves throughout global markets and geopolitics. Oil prices have already surged more than 10%, with analysis warning that they could reach or exceed 100 a barrel if disruption in the Strait of Hormuz persists. If history taught us anything, that is, geopolitical conflicts rarely stay confined to the battlefields. As we saw in 1973, a Middle East war led to an oil embargo that drove global price oil, that drove global oil prices up nearly 300% and reshaped the global economy. For Africa, that shock was not an abstract headline. It meant inflation, imported costs, shrinking foreign exchange, higher food and fertilizer prices, and heavy borrowing that laid the groundwork for debt crisis and structural adjustment programs throughout the 1980s. That was the era when global energy disruption translated directly into Africa's economic pain. Today, crisis threatens a similar dynamic, but in a world with even deeper interconnections, fast capital flows. If great powers miscalculate, if the oil markets destabilize, if inflation spreads, will Africa suffer economically every time the superpower crash? Or is this the moment that focus us to accelerate structural independence? Not independence in slogans, but independence in systems, independent structures, in energy, in economic reliance. Crisis expose structural weakness. They don't create them, they reveal them. And right now, Africa's vulnerability is no longer theoretical. What do you think Africans must prioritize to stop paying the price for wars that it did not start. Let me hear from you in the comment section and let's talk about it. Now we're going to continue to follow this story because there's so many different angles to analyze it from. If this conversation matters to you, please share it with at least 30 people and invite them to join us during our live stream. Don't forget to subscribe, become a Gracam member, and stay connected with me on my Substack page. I provide the site on my link tree page in the comments section below this audio podcast. Please leave a public comment about the topic in the comments section below this audio podcast and share it with your friends on all social media sites you are on. This will help get the ball rolling. Thank you all for listening to our audio podcast and for joining us on the live stream. We're greatly appreciated. That means a lot to me and to us. I need you all to support our film project so that way we can move beyond cyberspace and get our story on the big screen to let the Black world know who we are and what we're trying to do for our people that's trapped in American ghettos, starting here in Chicago. Quote, Hood Liberator made in Chicago, the war against Willie Lynch begins, unquote. You can be a part of this historic docudrama by contributing to our crowdfunding pages, which are on our GoFundMe page, our Buy Me a Coffee page, or our PayPal Giving Fund page, which will help fund marketing, production, clearance, legal, and general expenses. If you're a U.S. citizen, I recommend that you donate to our PayPal Giving Fund page because you can use it as a tax write-off because this is a legitimate 501c3 nonprofit faith-based and community advocacy organization. You can also purchase items from our virtual store or purchase my revised book. The ebook is $9.99, and the softcover book is $15 plus shipping and handling. We appreciate your support. You can find all the links below this audio podcast in the comment section. Thank you for listening to our YouTube Live or the playback. If you are new to Help Stop the Genocide in American Ghettos podcast, welcome to our safe space where we discuss Black issues and African issues. We do this every week. This will conclude our audio podcast for today. See you on the next episode. And now, before I cut and run, we're going to share the screen so that way you'll know how to navigate my pages, or like my Medium page and things like that. First, we're going to go to my YouTube page. I want you all to check that out. All right, and here we are. So that's it. So first, I'm looking for where it says subscribe. Well, I don't see it on there. We're not going to trip. So I'm going to click this. Well, anyway, see right here, this is the cursor. So that's how you find my YouTube page. And we're going to go to videos. Okay. We'll try this one. Use this as an example, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. So I'm scrolling down, and this is where you find my comments. This is where you find my book. Click on that where it says read more. So it's under my credibility. So this is where you would purchase my ebook or the softcover book. That's what I ask everybody to do. Read my story first and foremost. So that way you'll have an idea about Gurkam and what you're getting yourself involved with. Because everything that's written in that book, we're going to carry that out to the fullest. And again, I'm only responsible for Gurkam members. Those that don't want to be a part of us, all I'm going to say is, hey, we'll pray for them, show them tough love, keep it moving. There's less people for me to have to worry about. Once this business materialize, then I can turn the business over and I can bring it to the African continent, ladies and gentlemen. That's all I want to do. I don't want to sit up here and be bogged down with Black American issues. I've reached out to them for the past 34 years. You know what I'm saying? It's a straight up turnoff. Shoot. I mean, my goodness. But once, mark my words, once I start making money, everybody's going to want to be around me then. But that's not how I operate. Know what I'm saying? If you're not working with me now while I'm small, I don't want to be around you. Trying to work with those that's in the low income Black community. Trying to create jobs. That's all. That's going to help stop the genocide in American ghettos. Becoming an economic base in the Black community. But hey, if the Black community is not supporting me, then I can't do my job. The white man is not stopping Black Americans from buying my revised book. The white man is not stopping Black Americans from buying items from my virtual store. The white man is not stopping Black Americans from donating to my film project. That's a personal choice. And that's that slave mentality, ladies and gentlemen, that we're against. Anyway, here's our GoFundMe page you can use, or our PayPal giving fund page right there. Buy me a coffee right there. So just in case if someone don't want to use GoFundMe, okay, cool. Then just use the PayPal. But bottom line, please purchase my book first and read my story. I wrote the book in order to generate capital. So that way I can be in a better position financially to hire people. That's how come we have to do this film, because my goodness. My book has been on Amazon for the past 14 years and still barely selling. Yes, I'm going to say it. It ain't my fault. I ain't make people buy the book, but hey, if people want to sit up here and support that dope man that's in the Black community, it is what it is. And then that's why the community is getting worse. Getting high and, you taking a risk because now the dope man is lacing his drugs with fentanyl. You might not come back. You might OD, unfortunately. I hope not, but I sell ideas and I stand on that. The only reason it's taking so doggone long is because I'm coming against that 300-year slave mentality, or 400-year mentality. It's not easy to break this, but that's what I'm trying to do in this business. Come against that foolishness. Separate ourselves from off-code Negroes, Black politicians that want to sell us out. But that's on you all. But like I say, I can't just cut and run and go to Africa, because when I go to Africa, I want to bring economic tangibles. So that's where the Global African Family comes in. Help me get my book on that bestsellers list. Let me have some support systems on the ground. So when I do come, I can hurry up and get things done. Black Americans are only acting funny style because of the slave mentality. That's why we're going to fight against that mess. And I'm willing to, be that example. I'm not going to just sit up here and just complain about America. I'm going to bring myself to that continent. Work with Africans that want more out of life. Check everybody. Doggone it. And that's real. So, and down here, this is where you can find my Substack page right here under. Click on there where it says my revised link tree page. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna stop that one. What else do I have for you? All right, so here's my Medium page, and see right here where it says it's pinned. So every time I do my presentations, I always pin it up here, my new ones. Okay. So don't forget to follow me. Hit that follow button right here. That's free. You don't have to. Same thing. I'm sorry, I forgot to say that. Needed people to hit that subscribe. I couldn't find it, but you'll see it on there when you go to my YouTube page. Subscribe to my YouTube. That's free too. But we want to get those numbers up, ladies and gentlemen. Because again, on LinkedIn alone, I have 12,000 followers, but yet my book is barely selling. So what? The question is, what's wrong with this picture? It means a lot of people are online, just want to be seen. I don't want to connect with those type of people. I want to connect with people that are interested in solving Black issues and solving African issues. When I come to Africa, my focus is going to solely focus on solving African issues. That's why we're going to leave. I'm going to leave the business here in Chicago to focus on solving Black American issues. We'll try to work together, but doggone it, see if this business was up and running, I could be have the business already over there on the African continent. But again, this is why I'm reaching out to the Global African Family. You're going to play a very important role, as well as African immigrants. Once they see this business materialize, Black Americans that's here in Chicago, they're going to want to be on board with us. Like I say, I want that thumbprint, and I want that in writing, that the person agree, with what we're talking about, and I want them to pass our criminal background check. That's all. And yeah, this business is going to be private, doggone it. Now, our community grocery store, that's going to be open for the public, but still going to try to encourage them to become members. They can get discounts and stuff like that for our programs and stuff. So, but I worked that out with my lawyer, so to make sure everything is legal and I'll have no issues, with anything. So you click on here, all right? And then the whole speech is going to pop up like that. I say what I'm doing, I'm scrolling down. Yes, it's a lot of material because, hey, like I say, I don't have step. When I do my stuff, my shows, and when I start talking, I like to make sure I have I come with receipts. Know what I'm saying? But yeah, I mean, I want us, so far as I'm concerned, I want to do more than just sit up here and run off at the mouth. I want to recruit legitimate professionals that's going to be on my management team or resource team, and that's going to help me run this thing, so that way I don't have to always be checking in. You know what I'm saying? I could just make some phone calls, and other people we're going to hire. I would hire them, to help run the business. Shoot, I want to be sitting around just to I have to always be around. I want to now, I'm 34 years behind schedule, so shoot, I feel like I have a better chance on the African continent. But yes, I mean, I still love my people. You know what I'm saying? I'm a black American who identify as Das FM, descendant of American slaves / freedmen. I'm on that every day, all day. And I stand on that big time. That's just how it is. But yeah, those that have been acting funny style will not be part of my business because it's membership based. Um, so a couple things I would like to just point out. So again, this is my, ladies and gentlemen, this is my receipts right here where I say show and prove. Okay, that's my little cursor. And so you click on that, you can look at the, my sources. Yeah. I was trying to find that the article about the the young guy that, here it is right here. And this is such a shame. So y'all just click on that link. I'm not going to do it because you won't be, sometimes you can hear it, sometimes it doesn't play, but just do it that way, play. But his name is Black Sam. That's Nipsey Hussle's brother. Opened up, a restaurant, in Compton and everything. And then, some dude came there, want to act a fool. And it was a shootout. Just ridiculous. It really is. So, um, but yeah, this is the Iran stuff, So check that stuff out, when you get a chance. Again, I have respect for the African Diaspora News Channel. I hope that I can speak with Phil Scott someday soon. I mean, he has a really good media company. And if he doesn't talk to me, then I'm going to have to compete against him. But yeah, I like his material. We're on the same page, But again, this is the sad thing about Black Americans, and it's not just limited to us, but I'm just going there. I want to work with other people. You know what I'm saying? But again, we want to raise the bar over here. That's all. And I'll work with you just long as you ain't trying to con me. That's all I'm saying. And again, there's consequences for scammers that's going to be in my business. For real. So anyhow, trying to I'm just showing you all, because yeah, the African Diaspora News Channel, they on point, and I really love how they, have different, how they run their media company, and eventually we're gonna get our stuff like that as well, because again, it's just me and Sister Renee, and shucks, I can't do all this stuff. But hey, I'm trying to generate capital. That's how come again I created the virtual store. Now I'm on trying to do a film. So I need all hands on deck. You know what I'm saying? Again, this is the main sources for for my case. Yeah, I'm always going to talk about that, but also I want y'all to check this out right here. Engaging Black audience, and right there is letting you know that Black Americans as a collective, we hold $2 trillion. And then this one down here, um, medium wealth of Black Americans will fall to zero by 2053. And that's coming from the Guardian, and that's a shame. And like I say, I predict before that, I predict neither 2040 or 2035. And I'm just saying, why? That's because of that slave mentality. And that's what we're going to be talking about on March 28th. The fall of Black America. I don't want to see us fall. I don't want that at all. But again, that's why I'm trying my best to get this business popping. Trying to get this film project first fully funded and made, so that way the whole Black world would know my story, and we can try to prevent the fall of Black America as much as possible. But it's gonna come, unfortunately. And like I say, Black America at this point or at this stage in the game have two options: either embrace annihilation or embrace survival. It's just that simple. Like I said, I want to turn the business over and bring my business over to the African continent and work with Africans that want more out of life. I'm not gonna what you call that, denounce my U.S. citizenship. I'm not gonna do that. You know, my ancestors helped build this country, doggone it. But all I'm saying is that I want to live on the African continent, work with Africans, get the business popping there, hire Africans, so that way we'll have, equal, I'm going to say equal partnership, equal authority in the business. Um, I would say DAS FM, descendants of American slaves / freedmen, and I'm going to say BNA, Black Native Africans, so that way I'm saying once I get to South Africa. But right now it's Black Americans or DAS / FM and AI, African immigrants. So both of us, we're going to learn how to respect each other's culture, learn how to do business together, learn how to get along with each other and replicate that business on the continent. That's all I am trying to do, ladies and gentlemen. But I'm clicking on here. I hope it will show it, I don't know. I'm taking a chance. But like I say, you do it on your own. But right here, you can see it as clear as day. It says that's $2 trillion. That's as a collective. And Black Americans, the unfortunate part, we have to encourage Black Americans to support Black businesses. That should be a given. But they give all their money, they patronize all these other groups, even groups that don't even like them. Good Lord. This is what I'm up against, but this is what God called me to do. I didn't ask for this. I just wish that the power of God will, connect me with the right people so that way we can get this thing popping faster. Because I can't do this for another 34 years. It's a straight up turnoff. We're failing our kids. Doggone it. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your time and peace and blessings.